Before the first walls rose, before villages or cities, humans slept beneath open skies. The earth was their floor, the stars their ceiling, and the wind their only companion. But nature was not gentle, the nights were cold, the rain unforgiving, and the beasts restless in the dark. They needed protection, a place not just to rest, but to survive. And from that need, the first idea of home was born. At first, they found safety in what nature already offered: deep caves, hollow trees, the overhangs of cliffs. Caves became the earliest shelters, their dark chambers lit by flickering fire. Inside those stone walls, they found warmth and safety from predators. The sound of rain outside became a song, and for the first time, humans could close their eyes without fear. But caves were not everywhere, and not everyone could hide within them. So humans began to build. With branches, mud, leaves, and animal hides, they shaped the world around them. The first shelters were simple, small frames of wood covered with grass or fur, fragile, temporary, but they worked. Each generation improved the design. They learned how to weave grass tighter, how to anchor sticks deeper, how to seal the cracks against wind and rain. Some tribes built domes of branches, others dug shallow pits to block the cold. Over time, the instinct to build became an art of survival. These shelters were not just protection, they became symbols of belonging. Inside those small spaces, families shared warmth, food, and stories. Children grew, fires burned, and the sense of home began to take shape. The first home stood where hearts felt safe, each one a promise that humanity could bend nature, shape it, and create comfort from chaos. From caves to huts, from grass walls to stone, these humble beginnings laid the foundation for everything that came after: villages, cities, and civilizations. The story of shelter is the story of humanity learning to stay. Because once we found a place to rest our heads, we began to dream of more. This was the birth of home. Before the spear, before the trap, humans hunted with nothing but their courage. They ran with bare feet, chased with empty hands, and faced beasts far stronger than themselves. At first, they were scavengers, following the shadows of predators, waiting for the lions and wolves to leave their kills. They learned from watching, studying how the world hunted, how it waited, how it killed. And slowly, something changed. They began to think like hunters. A sharp stone became more than a rock. It became an edge. A fallen branch became a weapon. And when the first stone struck bone, the first tool was born. From that single spark of creativity, the mind of the hunter awakened. They shaped stones with patience, striking one against another to carve sharper edges. These tools became teeth of their own: axes, blades, scrapers, and points. With them, the powerless began to rise. But tools alone were not enough. The early humans learned something even greater: strategy. They hunted together, not alone. They spoke with science, moved in silence, and surrounded their prey. It was no longer just a chase, it was a plan. Through teamwork, they became unstoppable. Mammoths, bison, and deer, once impossible prey, now fell to organized minds. Every hunt became a lesson in patience, timing, and courage. The leader gave the signal, the hunter struck, and the tribe ate. The moment of the kill was more than survival. It was transformation. Blood on their hands became proof of power, of intelligence, of unity. Around the fire, they celebrated each success. The tools that fed them were sharpened again, passed down to the next generation. The knowledge of the hunt, how to track, stalk, and strike, became a sacred inheritance. From stone tools to wooden spears, from silent stalking to coordinated ambushes, hunting turned humanity from prey into predator, and from animal into thinker. The world no longer ruled them. They had learned to master it. This was the birth of skill. This was the birth of strategy. This is Dfirstfire.
How the first humans made fire, the discovery that changed everything. Before fire, there was darkness. Nights were cold, and the wild ruled the earth. Humans were small, fragile, and powerless beneath the endless night. The shadows were alive with danger, the roar of beasts, the hiss of the wind, and the whisper of fear that followed every sunset. The world belonged to nature, and humans were merely its frightened guests. But one day, something changed. A spark appeared, small, fragile, and fleeting, yet powerful enough to reshape the destiny of humankind forever. Long before history began, humans lived as wanderers, cold, hungry, and afraid. They watched lightning strike trees from afar, flames devouring the forest in a dance of light and death. They were drawn to its beauty but terrified of its power. They saw fire as a spirit from the sky, mysterious, divine, and untouchable. It burned, it glowed, it destroyed, and then it vanished. For thousands of years, fire belonged only to nature, until the day a human dared to reach out, to learn its secret and to make it their own. It began with curiosity, the rubbing of dry sticks, the striking of stone against stone. Sparks flew, smoke rose, and in that fragile moment, a single ember was born. A trembling hand cupped the tiny glow, a breath, gentle, patient, hopeful. And then suddenly, light. The first fire, the first warmth, the first moment humans conquered nature. That spark changed everything. With fire came transformation. Food was no longer raw. Meat became tender, safer to eat, and richer in energy, fueling stronger bodies and sharper minds. The cold nights became bearable. The darkness, once feared, now flickered with light. Predators stayed away. Families gathered close, their faces glowing with wonder and safety. Around the fire, humans found something new: time. Time to rest, to share, to dream. Flames cast shadows that danced upon cave walls. And from those shadows, stories were born. Tales of hunts, of spirits, of the stars above. And from those stories came memory, imagination, and knowledge. Fire became more than a tool. It became the heart of humanity. It shaped our diets, our homes, our language, and our connection to one another. It was the first technology, the first teacher, the first protector. That single spark did more than light the night. It lit the path to civilization itself. Because from that first fire came warmth, community, invention, and the beginning of everything we are today. This was the moment humanity began. This is Dfirstfire. Before there were farms, before cooking pots and recipes, humans hunted, gathered, and survived off the wild earth. There were no markets, no harvests, no bread. Just the endless landscape, raw, untamed, and full of challenge. In that world, every meal was a hunt. Every bite was earned. The Stone Age kitchen had no walls, no fire pits, no tables, only nature. Rivers, forests, and plains were the shelves and stores of our ancestors. What they ate depended on what the land would give, or what they could take. They were hunters, moving silently through the tall grass, eyes fixed on their prey. Spears made of stone and wood were their tools, and teamwork was their secret. When the hunt was successful, the reward was meat, rich, warm, and life-giving. It wasn't just food. It was survival. But they didn't live on meat alone. The forest gave its own gifts: wild fruits, berries, roots, and nuts. Some were sweet, others bitter, and many were deadly until they learned which ones to trust. The knowledge of what could kill and what could feed became a sacred skill, passed down from parent to child, tribe to tribe, risking stings for the sweetness that nature guarded fiercely. They gathered honey from hidden hives. They dug deep into the earth for roots that filled their bellies, chewed seeds that gave them strength, and cracked nuts with stones to taste their hidden oils. Each season brought its own rhythm of hunger and plenty. During the rains, fruits hung heavy on branches. During the dry months, hunger pushed them to wander farther. Nature was their teacher, and every discovery, a lesson in survival. Before fire, much of their food was eaten raw. But when the first flames were tamed, everything changed. Fire softened the roots, roasted the meat, and brought new flavors into the world. Cooked food gave more energy, kept the body stronger, and turned eating from a struggle into a ritual. Around the fire, they shared not just food, but stories. The hunt became legend, the meal became memory. Cooking became connection, to one another and to the earth itself. The Stone Age kitchen was a place without walls, but full of life. Every meal was a gift of nature, fought for, gathered, and savored under open skies. So the next time you sit down to eat, no recipes but instinct, and no kitchen but the wild. Yet from their hunger came the first taste of civilization. Remember, the first chefs had no tools but their hands. This was the flavor of survival. This is Dfirstfire.